I want to welcome everyone to this morning's committee hearing. It's Wednesday, October 14th. At this point, I'm pleased to be joined by my friend and colleague, Ed Reyes. We do not have a quorum, but we will proceed in all of the actions will be communicate from the chair. Are you okay? Okay. It's too early for us to have injuries in this place. Okay. Let's, Ms. Barclay, why don't we're going to go through items from the consent calendar, 4 through 12. If we could read, if you could read item 4.
Yes, sir. Meg Barclay, CLA. Item 4 is a report from the CRA and the Chief Legislative Analyst and a resolution relative to awarding a sole source contract to the Trust for Public Land for an initial feasibility study and related activities for the proposed Eco Alley Walk project near the Council District 9 corridor south of the Santa Monica Freeway Recovery Redevelopment Project area.
Okay. Item 4 will adopt the CLA report on that item. Item 5.
Item 5 is a report from the CRA and the City Administrative Officer and a resolution relative to transferring funds to the Department of Recreation and Parks to fund replacement of the Reseda Park swimming pool.
Okay, on that item, we'll adopt the CAO report. Item 6.
Item 6 is reports from the CRA and the CLA and a resolution relative to executing a cooperation agreement with Los Angeles Unified School District to reimburse LAUSD for required matching funds for public improvements to the athletic field at the Helen Bernstein High School.
Okay, on that item, we'll adopt the CLA report. Item 7.
Item 7 is a report from the Los Angeles Housing Department and the CAO relative to creating accounts and appropriating grant funds for the continued operation of the lead hazard remediation program.
Okay, on item 7, we'll adopt the CAO report, bringing us to item 8.
Item 8 is a report from the Community Development Department relative to fiscal year 2009-10 department operational plans.
Okay, then we'll receive and file the CDD report on that item. Item 9, we will continue. That brings us to item 10.
Item 10 is a motion, Reyes-Wesson, relative to reprogramming $124,000 of community development block grant funds from the Los Angeles Boys and Girls Club Athletic Field project to the Cypress Park Youth and Family Center expansion.
Alan?
Sir, yes, sir.
What are we going to do on this one?
Oh, motion Reyes-Wesson, sir.
Okay, well,
Approved.
did you hear the clerk on that?
Yes, sir, very
that's the
enthusiastically
action that will be
approved.
taken. We will adopt that motion because that's what he said. Okay, item 11.
Item 11 is a motion, Parks Perry, relative to reprogramming community development block grant funds allocated within the 8th Council District from the parking lot 633 project to the Mavericks Flat project.
Alan, maybe we should continue this for a year? Or should we let it go? Since Ms. Perry's.
Well, Ms. Perry isn't here, so
Staff is here.
we should.
Item
go
11.
ahead with that, sir.
Item 11 will adopt the motion. Item 12.
Item 12 is a motion, Perry Parks, relative to approving the use of Los Angeles Homeless Services Authority funds to support data management and evaluation activities associated with the Homeless Prevention Rapid Rehousing Program.
Okay, I think there's a partnership here.
Yeah.
I think so. So on item 12, we will adopt the motion. All of these items that we've dealt with on the consent calendar will be communiques from the chair until another member of this committee arrives. So let me see. We've got some commission appointments that are here, but I see Dr. Williams is here on item 3. Do we have the Commissioner Fern here? Okay, so Dr. Williams, I'm going to have you come up first, and then we will take up item 3. Okay. Good morning, sir. Good to see you.
Good morning. Is the nominee here?
Yes, they're going to come up right after you.
Oh, okay. Okay. Basic problem, CRA. Dr. Clyde Williams, 4115 Barrett Road, El Sereno, Northeast LA. In our neighborhood council, we once had a CRA member give us, I think it was 15 minutes in 2 years. A CRA member was asked as to how much money 90032 provided to CRA, because we have part of the Adelante. She didn't know. We asked, how much money have you put into 90032? She didn't know. Then they decided to put in a low-income housing project on Huntington Drive in 90032 without even coming to the neighborhood council and discussing it with us or anything. And then we estimated the price of it, $400 a square foot, not counting land. That was pretty expensive low-income housing, a mile away from the Adelante. Fortunately, something went sour with it. We don't know what happened to it. It went away. So we're always kind of concerned that big developments, big projects, big developers, such as the nominee, have vested interests outside of communicating with the very bodies that probably know most about the local neighborhoods, the neighborhood councils. CRA does not deal with the neighborhood councils. Maybe they should be like DWP and have an oversight committee formed from the neighborhood councils in the areas that are affected by CRA. Thank you.
You know what I would recommend, and this is just what happens in the district that I'm fortunate enough to represent. If I'm going to make an appearance at a neighborhood council, they issue me in advance a series of some questions. Now, we also, we do a question and answer period off the top of my head. So in the event that you do get another meeting with a rep from the CRA, if you really want to get those answers, you might want to consider, asking those answers in advance. That's all. Sometimes it's more.
Some of us have taken the time to go to CRA, and we get our 2 minutes, 3 minutes maybe.
But still, you'd be amazed. Different commissioners are willing to do different things. So you might want to send a letter.
I've lived in LA for 30 years. I'm not amazed by much of
I'd say you got to be positive. You got to be positive. Now, if we can read item 3, and let's bring up this commissioner.
Well, it takes 60 days for us to process a motion for community impact statement. Have you ever seen any really submitted? Maybe one. How many per year? Maybe 10 community impact statements. It takes 60 days, and we get 3 days notice. Boom.
Well, you need to try to establish a better working relationship with them.
Yes, sir.
Ms. Barclay.
Item 3 is communication from the mayor relative to the appointment of Mr. Kenneth H. Fern to the Community Redevelopment Agency Board of Commissioners for the term ending November 4th, 2012.
Please come forward. How are you, sir?
How are you?
Good. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Same here.
Let's deal with Dr. Williams' issue for a moment. In the event that you are confirmed, I have no doubt that it will happen. What type of commissioner would you be? Do you think you would be one that would try to communicate with the public? I mean, I know you've got a lot to do, but sometimes when you actually have discussions with folks, things work out a little better. But would you attend a meeting occasionally or what have you?
I absolutely would be willing to. I think one of the biggest challenges in the city is there's not enough communication. So I think sitting in on neighborhood councils and so forth, if something's moving forward, is an important part of what the job would entail.
Okay. Now, a few days ago, I had a person come up to me and they said, "Do you know this man?" referring to you. And I said, "No, I don't think I do." So would you tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do and what you hope to accomplish.
Sure. I'm an LA native, grew up in South Central.
Okay, wait, we got to stop you. This is on behalf of Councilman Tom Labange. What high school did you go to?
There's only one high school in LA, it's Loyola Boys School, so,
Wait, you went where?
Loyola High School.
My son went there. He's approved. Okay. Anyway, go ahead. Really? Okay.
I went to
What's your
Loyola-
mascot?
Pardon me?
Your mascot.
The Cubs.
Oh, okay, all right.
Cubs.
That's for Tom, too.
The Cubs.
Oh, you're right.
I went to Loyola High School, then to UC Berkeley, studied political science there, and then worked here in downtown Los Angeles for the Capital Group companies for a number of years, and then headed off to business school at Harvard Business School. For the last 15 years, roughly, I've been in the hospitality business. I have a company called Integrated Capital, and we are, next to Bob Johnson, the largest minority-owned hospitality operator in the U.S. I have nothing in the city of Los Angeles as far as physical assets, so there's not a conflict with how we conduct ourselves and our business. I have a keen interest in the Community Redevelopment Agency and the many projects that are undertaken by this agency. I think there's some opportunities here to really focus in on how the city can use the CRA and others to promote ventures and development that could also create jobs. And that's a real focus and a passion of mine.
Do you still, do you do any volunteer work with Loyola, or are you still connected?
I am very connected to Loyola. I'm on the finance committee that manages the endowment. I am on the board of directors for Challengers Boys and Girls Club over in South Los Angeles with Jan, Councilwoman Perry. And I'm on a number of other boards, including the Andre Agassi board and some others.
You know Marlon Thompson?
Marlon and I were on the phone this morning. He's one of my best friends.
Okay. He should have called me and tell. Marlon used to work for me when I was chief deputy for Supervisor Yvonne Burke. He was a very bright man as well.
Still is.
Yeah, he is. Anyway, I have some other stories about Marlon. Wouldn't be that appropriate. But next time you talk to him, Marlon is this buffed guy, really into taking care of himself, and he got a part in a karate movie. You know, one of those scenes where they have like 20 guys fight one guy and the one guy. Anyway, he got beat up pretty good. But anyway, tell him to show you that film. Mr. Reyes. We've just been joined by Mr. Alarcon.
First, let me congratulate you on your accomplishment. It's great to see someone from Los Angeles get through that experience and to be as successful as you are. But I did want to go back to the public speaker's concerns, and I wanted to drill down a little bit more on that. You say hospitality. Can you elaborate for the general public? What is the hospitality business?
We own and operate hotels.
Hotels.
Marriott Hotels, DoubleTrees.
And in your summary, you also refer to the LLC you work with is also involved with office, industrial, and residential real estate as well.
Well, we've done some office and industrial historically. Our current firm owns no office assets and no residential. We do have an industrial park in the city of Camarillo that we have.
So when we talk about engagement of community, can you give me an experience you've had in which you've engaged community when you're dealing with a development or an impact on a local neighborhood? What processes, just in a very brief form?
I haven't been very involved from a business perspective
Okay.
in trying to push through projects and developments in the city of LA. But what I can tell you is, out of the riots of 1992, I put together a field study while I was a student at Harvard. We ended up raising funds from the mayor's office, then Mayor Bradley, Lehman Brothers Foundation, and the ARCO Foundation. We had an office here in City Hall, thanks to the mayor, and we put together a project called the redevelopment of inner cities. And it was in concert with Rebuild Los Angeles. Spent a lot of time trying to focus on what are the opportunities for repositioning communities so that we can elevate communities rather than just looking at fulfilling demand gaps. So a lot of times you look at what CRA agencies are involved with, and it's looking at how you put grocery stores or different entities into a local community. Those are terrific developments because they provide a few jobs, but more importantly, they fulfill a demand gap. What I think we really got to focus on as well is to add into that mix the opportunity to put in things such as Tesla Motors, who's looking for a new home. And how do we use the land and the resources of this city to work on development projects that can create thousands of jobs?
So when you look at the demographics, you look at the purchasing power in these neighborhoods, and you see who has the actual cash in their wallets. The wallets tend to be pretty small. Cash is limited, but the volume is great, tremendous.
Great.
Density is amazing.
Correct.
How do you approach that challenge?
Well, you know, I think that's what you're doing when you look at the demand gaps and you look at a number of the projects that are going on. The Crenshaw Shopping Center is a great location. It sits right there at View Park and Baldwin Hills, and you look at the programs where the density is great and you have a small group of fairly sizable wallets, and then as you open up the zip codes and draw a bigger radius, there's a decline as far as what the per capita income is. And once you do that, you start looking at what you can do to fill in there. So one of the biggest, similar to the doctor who was speaking about what they didn't want in their neighborhood, one of the biggest challenges in that corridor along Crenshaw is that they don't want housing. They're worried about low-income housing. And I think you always have to weigh what the community interest is with what the community good might be.
Right. And I appreciate your insight. I strongly believe we need mixed income housing. I strongly believe we have to decentralize the economic ghettos so you don't have a concentration of poverty. You try to filter that out through this mix. And again, the challenge is how do you make it desirable for investment?
Well, Santa Monica is a great example of some of the projects they've done, where they do mixed housing. They go through and they build terrific for-sale condominium and apartment projects, and then they have a certain number of units that they put in as far as affordable housing or low-income housing.
Right.
You look at the city of Los Angeles and the opportunity to build housing around workforce housing, and it's tremendous.
Mr. Fern, I look forward to working with you in the future. I know there are a lot of work that we're doing in District 1, and there's 5 other districts that are very active, and your role as a commissioner is going to be a significant one. So I appreciate your talent, the skill set, and the fact that you are as knowledgeable as you are about the city of Los Angeles and our homegrown, which is really good.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Okay, why did the football coach quit? He just quit 3 games into the season, just quit.
Do you really think he just quit?
Okay. I'm sorry. With that, anyway, this has been a riveting discussion, Mr. Alarcon. I'm sorry that I'm sorry that you weren't here for all of it. Did you have a question for Mr. Fern or?
Well, I'm a Valley guy, and there's only one representative from the San Fernando Valley, Bruce Ackerman. He's doing a great job. I really appreciate his leadership on the board. But I just wanted to get a sense of you have any understanding, since we have several community redevelopment areas in the San Fernando Valley, what's your sense of some of the needs out there?
I have to be completely honest. I haven't studied the valley yet. I'm getting my sea legs on the various districts and what the needs are. I have lunch set up with Bruce here in 2 weeks to get up to speed as well on the valley. One of the biggest concerns when you look at the valley is that the valley always has a sense of being kind of like a stepchild, and I think that's an important thing that must be overcome. The valley's got zip codes that range from high net worth as you get to drill down, and areas that have severe needs as well. I think it's an important part of the city, a vital part of the city, and it's not one that can be ignored.
Well, I'd be happy to give you a tour. We could have lunch in Pacoima, and I'd be happy to show you some of the dynamics that are going on out there, and at least in the Northeast San Fernando Valley. That is an earthquake recovery area that we have now submitted to become sort of a regular CRA project and expanding it. But more than just the stepchild attitude of the San Fernando Valley. My dad moved to the San Fernando Valley in 1923. He was there just a few years after the city of LA stole the underground water, acquired the underground water rights for the San Fernando Valley, which provides 30% of the water to the city of Los Angeles. And so, yes, it's not a sense of being a stepchild. It's being a stepchild. And so, but more important than that, we have an incredible rail corridor that is underutilized for freight and manufacturing purposes. Historically, a strong manufacturing base, but everything's moving toward light manufacturing, which creates not even half the wages in real dollars compared to 20 years ago. They're making less money now than they were 30 years ago in real dollars, and so I'd like to know. You seem like a really smart guy, and it seems like you might have some good ideas about how to move us in a direction that is more holistic. I also would like to hear the use of the term walkability in your presentations, because I think that's central to successful redevelopment projects. I mean, when you go to Pasadena, Burbank, and some of the other cities across the nation, their centerpieces of their redevelopment projects typically have a very strong walkability function, and so I'd be happy to give you lunch and take you on a tour of the Northeast San Fernando Valley.
I'd
Okay.
love to reach out to your office
Pleasure.
before the week's out and get a date on.
We'll do it. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Fern, I would ask you to get in touch with Mr. Thompson, and that the three of us should probably get together. We could have enjoyable discussions where it relates to the past, and substantive discussions where it relates to the future. So I'm going to put that on you.
You got it.
Okay, and the head of the agency just walked in, Cecilia, and I will say that he appears to be. You might have a good one. You might have a good one. So I will let the truth be known. It was her who said, "Who the heck is this guy?" Anyway, he's a solid guy. We believe. Okay, then without objection, we will forward your recommendation to the full city council, which will be heard today in chambers at 10 a.m.
Great.
Thank you so much, and it's been a very interesting discussion. Thank you for your willingness to serve. Okay, now, before we move forward, since we do have a quorum, Mr. Alarcon, we have acted on several items as a communique of the chair. Those were items, so if you don't have any problems, Mr. City Attorney, if he doesn't have any problems with items 4 through 8 and 10 through 12, we'd like to just move those consent calendar items.
That'll be fine.
He says that'll be fine.
That's
so-
fine, and we continued item 9.
Yes. So those will be a full recommendation of this committee. That brings us to Commissioner, or item 1, which is another commissioner, Ms. Barclay.
Yes, sir. Item 1 is a communication from the mayor relative to the appointment of Ms. Julia Serrano to the Relocation Appeals Board for the term ending April 2nd, 2011.
Now, what I have is Juliana.
Juliana, excuse me.
How are you?
Good morning.
We would like to afford you the same opportunity that we gave Mr. Fern to tell us a little bit about yourself. What qualifications do you think that you have to help you on this board? So, good morning.
Sure, good morning. Well, my name is Juliana Serrano. I am a resident of the city of Los Angeles and have been for the past 6 years. I grew up here in Southern California in Laverne, which is, I'm sure you know, just east of Pasadena. I went to St. Lucy's High School.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I did not go to Loyola High School.
They would have loved you there. They would have loved you there.
I'm sure it would have been fun. But I went to Loyola Marymount University. And I graduated from there with my degree in psychology, and I minored in philosophy and sociology. Since I graduated from college, as a result of doing a lot of volunteer work while I was at Loyola Marymount, I entered the nonprofit sector. I worked for several years for a national nonprofit organization called the National Conference for Community and Justice, and I worked with their youth and education programs there. During that time, I also worked with a group called the Alliance Against Racial Mascots that was trying to introduce legislation in the California State Legislature to eliminate the use of racial mascots.
Really?
Specifically, yeah, towards the end, the Redskins name.
So, what, were we there?
Yeah.
Jackie Goldberg.
Yeah, I remember it was Jackie Goldberg's bill. Okay, so you were involved with that.
Yeah, I did the very grassroots lobbying efforts for that piece of legislation and worked very closely with the Native community on supporting them and their position behind the use of these mascots.
On that bill, Mr. Alarcon, you were in the Senate then, and we had a member who you served with for a bit. It was Senator Leslie, who then came to the Assembly, and he went to school in Arcadia,
Yes.
and he was strongly against the legislation. So when he was afforded his opportunity to speak on the Assembly floor, he rose and sang the fight song for Arcadia High. I do remember that
I'm glad to hear
debate.
that you remember that as
Oh,
vividly
yes.
as I do.
Yes, I do, and you see how the discussion is, catching on in a national debate.
It was, it is a heated topic, but I'm very proud of our efforts, and I know that we really led the way in terms of that type of legislation. I mean, we made it further than any legislation of the type. It made its way to the governor's desk. Unfortunately, it was vetoed, but we're still very proud of our efforts, and I have lots of friends in the state of Wisconsin who are trying to get similar legislation passed there and really model their efforts on what we were able to do. So it was a very challenging experience, but wonderful. I remember vividly also an occasion when I was there with several group of Native youth and running into then Senator Alarcon in the hallway, and just the joy in the faces of those youth to be able to meet.
Okay, I vote aye.
Well, you know where I'm going. It was a very positive experience, very empowering experience that I'm very proud to be involved with. Since then, I left those organizations and then moved on to help create a new organization called Encompass. And we're based out of Monrovia, and we are a new nonprofit organization. We're celebrating our 5th anniversary this month, which is a huge accomplishment in these economic times. And our mission there is to spark compassion, personal responsibility, and an appreciation of differences. So we work with teenagers around diversity issues, around inclusion and exclusion. And there I serve as the director of operations. And so I see the overall infrastructure of the organization. I work with staff, I work with our volunteers, I work with our board of directors. As you imagine, with a new nonprofit organization, I wear several hats. And so basically that is what gave me the referral by Tom Sines to the mayor's office for this particular position. Given that my skills are in attention to detail and procedures and protocol, they felt that I would be an excellent candidate for this Relocation Appeals Board position.
You know what? If you would have just went down the hall and came into the speaker's office, because I was speaker at the time, I'm sure the group that you were with would have liked me as well.
I think they would. I'm certain.
And the only thing that I may hold against you is that you didn't even come knock on the door. And that Richard...
Next time.
Okay.
I only said what you would have said.
Yeah. Is this the first city board or commission that
Correct.
you're excited about
Yes,
this
yes.
opportunity?
I'm very excited. I love the city of Los Angeles. I couldn't imagine living in any other city, and so to be able to serve it with this position is truly an honor, and I look forward to everything that it
Well, you
brings.
definitely have the experience, the intelligence, and the energy. And I'll be honest with you, I truly enjoyed and was impressed by Mr. Fern. And I said to myself, how could anybody keep up with that? I mean, and you definitely came in here with your own style. So for this committee, it's been a good day where it relates to commissioners, at least in my opinion. And so I have decided to forgive you for not coming to my office. I'm going to just show that that I am a bigger man than I appear when you see me walking down the street.
The line was much longer then.
Mr. Reyes, did I see you want to get involved in this?
I just want to say thank you. No, in terms of the relocation appeals board, what will your function be? Have you been briefed on the scale and the level of challenges that are before you?
I haven't been fully briefed. I've received a lot of information, and I know I do have my first meeting next week with the other commissioners. My understanding of what the Relocation Appeals Board does is reviews the appeals by community members that believe that there has been an error in the way that they've been contacted and approached about their relocation. And so given that understanding of what the Relocation Appeals Board does, I really do feel that I can bring my skills and talents to that in terms of being able to adequately review procedures and protocol.
And I appreciate that statement. We've been through many discussions the past few years regarding displacement. When the condo conversion was red hot, there was a lot of folks being hurt by the lack of how the process was being treated and how certain folks were being swept with a broad brush away from their homes for years and years. And they're seniors. These are folks with limited income. So it is a very important position, and it's a position that I think has a few opportunities to have a real human face to it. And to have you there would be a great pleasure because of your attention to detail and the fact that your background is about understanding people and differences, and that I think goes a long way. So thank you very much for your hard work.
Thank you.
Mr. Alarcon, did you?
I'm good.
You're good? Okay. Again, I want to thank you. This has been a very informative discussion. I look forward to, in 45 minutes, recommending that the council support your appointment unanimously. So without objection, we'll forward this to the full city council. The action will take place 10 or thereafter today. Thank you.
Very much.
Thank you.
Okay, that brings us to item 2.
Item 2 is a communication from the mayor relative to the appointment of Mr. Alex Cha to the Rent Adjustment Commission for the term ending May 20th, 2010.
Good morning, council members.
Good morning, Alex. I can remember once at the Democratic convention in Los Angeles, and I was scheduled to speak at one of the caucuses. And before my time came to speak, Andrew Cuomo, who was the HUD director, spoke, and then Jesse Jackson spoke, and then former mayor of San Francisco, Willie Brown, spoke, and then it was my turn. Trust me, just like that commercial, Want to Get Away? So
How intimidating about them.
you kind of find yourself in that situation, but I got a feeling that we're going to be 3 for 3 today, and that you will be as much as an asset as Mr. Serrano and Mr. Fern. But with that said, boy, yeah, I did. Anyway, welcome, and
Thank you.
tell us about yourself. Or you can just run screaming out of the back.
My name's Alex Cha. I reside in City 1 and I work in City 10. I'm an attorney in City 10 right now. I
You
didn't
work
grow-
in Council District 10?
Yes,
Oh, okay.
in Koreatown.
Okay, I just 10 points.
I grew up in Orange County, went to high school, and went to UC Irvine, and then I went to Loyola Law School in LA. During college, I participated in Desert Storm as a U.S. Army reservist.
Okay.
Right.
wait a
Yes.
minute. You were in Desert Storm?
Yes.
50 points.
Even 10.
Currently, I am a treasurer of Downtown Neighborhood Council. I'm the incoming president of Korean American Democratic Committee, where Councilman Ed Reyes came last year on a Saturday.
25 points.
I also previously served
didn't give him any points for the neighborhood council?
We'll give him 10.
I previously served in the Industrial Development Authority as a commissioner about 3-4 years ago. And now I'm looking forward to serving as a commissioner for this commission.
Who approached you from, how did they find you to do this? And how do you find the time?
I know, I thought about that, but I think this is a very important commission, and I'm very honored to serve the city of LA. I really love the city of LA, and it would be an honor, and I would do it diligently. Although time is valuable, I'm the incoming president for KADC, Neighborhood Council, and they take a lot of time, but I think this will be one of my top priorities.
You know, I've always had a phenomenal relationship with the Koreatown area, and we've done some wonderful things there. And the Wilshire corridor is probably, in my view, one of the most important corridors in the city of Los Angeles. So I'm sure our paths have probably crossed at various functions and what have you. But now, this rent adjustment commission, you know, what do you think the biggest challenge will be for you as, you know, I think you're scheduled for Chambers today at 10, and I would believe that it would be a full recommendation of this committee as well. You have scored tremendously high with all of your outside endeavors, but if you could just, what do you think is going to be?
I think the balance is the key issue for the Rent Adjustment Control Commission, because we need a balance between the lower income people and the landlords that are actually trying to raise the rent each year. I think the balance is very important. But another key factor is, in the city of LA, we need more housing for the lower income people, and I think we need to emphasize that. The past commission meeting I actually attended, and it was very good. It was more of a policy making, and as an attorney, I have the training for that. The 3 out of 6 commissioners right now are attorneys, so I think being an attorney really helps being in that commission.
Well, that's an area that this committee is very passionate about, and I think the most important word that you said, at least to me, is when you use the word balance, because that's what we struggle with all of the time. I mean, we want to do this and we want to do that, but we have to keep in the back of our mind that the key is balance, because if it's unbalanced, it just doesn't work. So I think that that's a very important point of view, and knowing that balance will be the elusive thing that you will forever be chasing.
Yeah.
Mr. Reyes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. First, I want to thank Mr. Chow for his hard work. On that Saturday, you had several of your members with their children with them. We had baby carriages, and it was really nice to see that family spirit, you know, especially when you're involved in extracurricular activities that deal with the welfare of the city. So for me, that was a very pleasant experience, and it's good to see that happening, especially in pockets that don't have the strongest presence in the institutions within City Hall and city government. And see you participating at this level truly is significant. When you look at the makeup of the actual board, you're the only Asian Pacific Islander on this one. So your voice, your perspective, your sense of balance for a growing community is very important, especially in Koreatown. But the same can be held true with many of the pockets in the city that are right now changing at a tremendous rate. So for that, I thank you. And the understanding, for me, the notion of being an immigrant and the experience in of itself is a very special one. To understand it and to understand how people transition to this society is crucial in terms of enhancing communication and being able to engage the process, and to have a person like yourself there understanding those balances is going to be crucial as well. So I thank you for your hard work and look forward to working with you.
Thank you.
Mr. Alarcon.
Yeah, this commission sends a powerful message. In Los Angeles, I remember when I was renting my first apartment at 19 years old, I was the rent was about 1/5 of what an average first-time homebuyer mortgage was. Today, it's almost equivalent. So the rent is almost equivalent to the monthly payment on a first-time homebuyer mortgage. And I think that's one of Los Angeles' biggest challenges that's been ignored for many, many years. We've become a rental society. More than 60%, almost, and after the foreclosure crisis, it might be 70% of the people that are living in homes do not live in a home that they own. So we've completely missed the boat on issues of rent versus home ownership and asset building and all of that. Rents have skyrocketed since the foreclosure crisis. You would have thought they would have been sensitive, but even with rent control, the landlords are taking advantage of the renters. So I greatly appreciate your sense of balance, but we are so out of skew with where we need to go that we could use some more balance on the side of the renters because they are paying far too much. They can't accumulate enough dollars to put a down payment down, and that's a critical problem that we're having. So I support you, but I would ask that this may be an opportunity for you to actually balance more on the side of the renters.
Yes, especially in the city of LA, I think we definitely need to balance more for the people.
Thank you.
Okay. By chance, are there any representatives from the mayor's office here today?
We can talk.
No, I just want to say this was a good day for the mayor's office, and you pass it on. When I see him, I will as well, to really go out and find 3 skilled, committed individuals that we've had an opportunity to meet today. It has been a very, very enjoyable discussion for me, and I'm sure for my colleagues as well. So without objection, Mr. Cha, we will forward your recommendation to the City Council, and that should be heard today sometimes after 10. Okay, the last item, thank you, the last item, which was supposed to be on consent, that unfortunately is not on consent, is item that I'm going to place back on consent is item 13. And if you could read that item, and there's no objections from the members and no cards from the public, then we will move forward on that motion. I believe it's a Ms. Perry motion.
Yes, sir. It's a motion, Perry Garcetti, and a report from the CLA relative to the preparation of an oversight ordinance for the Housing Authority of the City of Los Angeles. I could read the recommendation from the CLA report if you'd like, or...
Do it quickly.
Yes, sir.
While I have a quorum.
We recommend that the council instruct the CLA to negotiate an amendment to the cooperation agreement between the city and HACLA to create a mechanism by which the city may exercise influence over and provide input into actions of the HACLA Board of Commissions and report to council within 90 days.
Okay, then without objection, we will adopt the CLA report. Ms. Barclay, is there any more business before this committee?
No, sir.
Then this committee is adjourned. It was a good...
Yeah.